cybersecurity and making sure that cybersecurity is done well has been around for a long time, right? It's not a new thing. IT professionals have been making sure that IT systems are secure since the beginning of time.
What?
Since the first computer, ultimately. But things are changing. There's new emerging trends that are coming up every single month, every single year that is challenging cybersecurity professionals, that is challenging IT managers and IT leaders and directors in every single company, because the game is continually changing. And the bad people, the hackers, the spammers, the phishers, they're just getting smarter and smarter. And they're learning ways to outsmart some of the tools and practices that you had in place in a business, and they're just getting better. And they're getting in more and more and more and tricking people more and more. And it's really concerning. It's really scary. I mean, you're opening up the newspaper and you're hearing of stuff happening all the time. So what are the trends that we're seeing in the industry right now? What are the things, the threats that you need to be on the lookout? These are things that have been emerging for the last number of months, the last year, but will continue to be like a big thing into the future. So we're going to cover some of my things that I think are the biggest problems, right? Things that you need to be looking out for. I'll give you some ideas around how to protect you, your systems, and your people, right, in a business. And then I'll give you a little bit of an outlook around some things that I think that are coming down the track. Like, what is that next thing that may be in the cybersecurity space? Okay, we're going to talk about that. It's going to be a really, really fun video, and hopefully you learn something new. My name is Emilio. I run this tech YouTube channel where we talk about tech. We love tech. And hey, if you like this video, you want to make sure that you're staying up to date and you don't miss out on anything. Click on that subscription button. Click on the bell as well so that you don't miss out on anything. All right, let's now talk about some of the big trends that I'm seeing happening right now. One that is really, really tricky to diagnose are what's called deep fake scams. Long are the days where, you know, you'd have a person trying to just hack in the old fashioned way. They call you up, they pretend to be somebody that they're not. They do some sort of like social engineering to trick you into divulging information, into providing data that you shouldn't be providing. What are we talking about? Deep fake? Well, this is the stuff where it looks like it's a real person, or it's a real voice, a real video of somebody, but it's completely fake. You've seen the AI machine doing some crazy stuff right now and imitating of voices, imitating of videos, imitating of images, and creating copies that look so genuine that it tricks a lot of people. And it's not uncommon for these cyber criminals nowadays to use deepfakes to impersonate CEOs, executives during like phishing campaigns, where in the olden days they'd just send out phishing campaigns everywhere, or maybe target a CEO here or there. But imagine if now you receive a video or a message, or you're on a Teams call and there's somebody on the call that looks like your boss, looks like the CFO, the chief financial person, and they're asking you to go and transfer a whole bunch of money to another bank account, or they're asking you to go and provide some credentials because you need them, because you're the boss, I'm the CEO, so I need these credentials. And it looks legit, right? The person on the video looks legit. It sounds like John Smith. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. And the amount of people that are getting duped by these sort of things is like alarmingly, not super high, but it's getting higher. And it's only gonna be a bit more of an issue down the track. Then you've got the AI generated phishing. Now phishing, we've all received phishes, right? Phishes. You get an email that looks legit. You can sort of see the signs. It's worded a little bit funky, and you go, oh, that doesn't seem right to me. Sometimes people get duped by that and they click on a link and then malware, ransomware gets installed on somebody's computer. We've all seen it, all right? And as IT pros, we need to be protecting against this sort of stuff all the time. But now, with the AI space, well, these phishing emails now all of a sudden look a lot better. They look a lot more legitimate. You can be asking the AI to now help you to craft a good email that looks legitimate. Give me some tips. Write this phishing email in a specific style. Write it in the style of my CEO, in the style of my CFO, in the style of a board member, in the style of something, right? To make it look really, really legitimate. Because one of the big common signs of old phishing emails was that you could be like, hey, that clearly looks like it's somebody in Bangladesh that has just written, nothing against Bangladeshi people. It just doesn't look legitimate, right? Because it's full of typos, the grammar's not right. Now, use the AI machine, throw it into there, rewrite it, Bob's your uncle, looks pretty good. One that's really emerging, and I've seen this one sort of come up a little bit more. It's not as common, but it's happening big time, like in certain areas. It's called a RAAS, or a ransomware as a service. You've heard of SaaS, you've heard of PaaS, you've heard of IaaS. This is RAAS. Now, you don't necessarily need a skilled hacker anymore, right? You can actually go and buy a ransomware kit, right? I could go onto the dark webs, onto the shifty part of the internet, not the internet, the dark web, and actually buy a full ransomware thing. I could go and tell Joe Smith, build me ransomware, and they'll go and do it. Ransomware as a service. It's like a thing. And the typical traits of these ransomwares is then they're extorting you. They send ransomware and they threaten, I will release this, I will release this stuff of you, these photos, this internet history, unless you go and pay me the ransom. It's fully scary. And there's even some cases sometimes where you will partner with somebody and buy the ransomware, and there's this thing called like affiliate marketing, right? So I'm a YouTuber, and I get sometimes little benefits for putting links in my show notes, right? Where a company pays me a certain amount to sort of talk about their product, right? That's what YouTubers do. Yeah, that's just a normal thing. But they can now do this with ransomware. So you buy a ransomware pack and they will pay you for every single time somebody clicks on your ransomware. Like, it's a full business model. It's pretty scary, but it's picking up a lot of traction. Another very common one, and again, this is becoming more and more of a problem, especially with more emergence of the cloud, is noobs. These are people who think that they know how to configure cloud systems, but they don't. They're a noob. They maybe have been working in on-premise servers, they're building networks all on-premise, and now they start building stuff in the cloud. They're getting onto the Google Cloud, they're getting into Azure, AWS, and they're building stuff on there, and they're not configuring it properly. And then, of course, because things are not configured properly, the IAM, the security, firewalls are being left open, servers are being exposed out onto the internet because they're on the cloud, they're not being fully locked down, and that is just a thing that is been around for a little while, but you're finding because more and more companies are relying on the cloud, more and more people are being expected to be administrators of the cloud tech that they're not fully skilled or know about. So they're going to go and build stuff without proper security, right? Without proper guidance around how to, like the little guardrails and framework around how to set up stuff properly in the cloud. And then closely associated with that, very similarly, is all of the cloud storage that is being mismanaged, like S3 buckets, which is like an AWS. You've got blob storage on the Azure space. These storage platforms that are now containing a whole bunch of business data that are now poorly configured and are open, or they're being shared to wrong people, to people outside of the business, and they're open, and then data is being leaked, data is being stolen, right? Have you ever, for example, been able to access a Google Drive link that you've just clicked on and there's a whole bunch of data and they haven't properly locked it down? They haven't properly locked it down with their username and password. I've seen this a lot where people are rolling out Google Drive, they're rolling out Dropbox, they're rolling out OneDrive, and then they're sharing links all over the place, and it becomes a problem, right? Companies that are running Microsoft 365, they got SharePoint, they're using Teams. Yay, we're on the cloud and we're gonna just be sharing links all over the place, right? Back in the olden days, back in my day, when I was a youngster, I would have my server and I would have all my files on a server and I would control all the permissions and lock it down. Now, M365 has been rolled out and you've said to a company, hey, go and use Microsoft 365, create all of your teams and all of your channels and all of your folders, and off you go. We haven't given them any guardrails or rules on how to manage that data. So then you've got folks that are sharing stuff between everybody in the business, or OneDrive link is being shared to this person. We know the bad countries out there, not naming them, but they're paid to look for stuff, to spy on stuff. State-sponsored attacks. Now it's a fully fledged company, a fully fledged country that is like paid by the government to do stuff. Pretty scary. The other big one, and this is the bad one, this is where you've got actually the vendors themselves being attacked. The suppliers themselves being attacked, the software providers, the MSPs, all of those supply chain attacks. We saw what happened with our CrowdStrike friend before. that sort of stuff, right? Where they're now going after those people. Now, of course, the CrowdStrike thing was like some poor dude, some poor developer that didn't properly test his code and then rolled it out to the whole world, and the whole world broke. Bad news, right? But that sort of stuff could happen from a hacking perspective. MSPs are very vulnerable. Like if you ever work with an MSP, a managed services provider, this is a company that you partner with to do IT services for you. Well, if they get attacked, then potentially all their customers are vulnerable because they go in that way. The software that's installed on a computer, well, the provider gets attacked, and then the provider pushes out some software, or they have remote access to systems or whatever it is. And then those companies get attacked as well. Pretty full on. Now let me give you some of the more common defense tactics that you can use right here. Restrict, minimize. You want to mitigate, control the risk. The risk is always going to be there, but how can we make it a little bit safer? Of course, using proper endpoint detection response tools, making sure that you're monitoring all of your tech, right? This is stuff that's been around for a long time, where you've got monitoring software to make sure that things are secure. When there's abnormalities on a network, it lets you know as an administrator. Using tools like SentinelOne, using tools like Defender, using tools like CrowdStrike. Oh, talking about CrowdStrike, we'll talk about that at the end, because I think that's not the first time, not the last time we're going to see stuff like that happening. So just hang till the end, because we're going to talk about that. Of course, you need to make sure that MFA is turned on. MFA, multi-factor authentication, across every single system if you can. Every staff member should be able to authenticate with more than one way to be able to access their systems, to be able to access their data. Setting up what's called zero trust architecture, where nothing's open. You don't trust anything. Go with a mindset, nothing's safe. Always require some sort of authentication, access that needs to be granted to be able to access stuff. Don't leave stuff open ever. Sometimes that things can be open, you go, that's not a problem. But then they get in that way, it's because it's open, and then they can get into other things behind the scenes. Make sure that there are, of course, proper audit trails, that you're auditing data, that you're keeping track of logs, so that when things happen, because it's going to happen, right? You're going to experience, throughout your tech career, you're going to experience cyber attacks, right? It's just a given, unfortunately. It's a sad world. But as long as you can go back in time, check through logs, check through activities, the events, and sort of pinpoint where things are happening. Continue your patching across all of your tech, making sure that firmware, software updates are being done. Segregating your network is always going to be good. Don't have all of your network pieces of tech, right? All of your end user devices, your servers, your network, your printers, don't have them all on the same network, on the same subnet, on the same VLAN. Look at splitting things up. Try to make your network setup, your network architecture, as hard as possible for a bad actor to sort of propagate and spy within your network. Who is the first line of defense in your organization, in your company? People. Us as IT professionals, what we need to do is we need to, of course, put all the right systems and processes in place. But how does stuff get into the companies? 9 out of 10 times, it's because John Smith clicked on something. I keep picking on John Smith, I'm sorry. They shouldn't have clicked on something. So your people are your first line of defense. So making sure that there's proper cybersecurity training, awareness training, programs in place to make sure that your staff, your people are trained and know the signs to look out for. There's my list. Hey, let me know down below in the comments. What did you think? Are there other cyber attacks that we should be aware of and be wary of? And of course, I'm telling you, in the next 6, 12, 24 months, this list is going to change. But hey, it's good to stay vigilant and up to date with what's going on in tech. Do the subscription thing, click on the button on the bell. Really appreciate it. Like this video as well. We'll see you on the next video.